Nih, ini nih. Mati terus. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are honored to have with us today the Excellency Rector of State Islamic University of Mataram, Professor Dr. Haji Masnun MAG, the Excellency Director of Postgraduate Studies, State Islamic University of Mataram, Professor Dr. Haji Fahrul Razi MA, our distinguished guest speaker, Professor Dr. Stefan Koos from Universitat der Bundeswehr, Munchen, Germany, respectable Vice Director of Postgraduate Studies, State Islamic University of Mataram, Professor Muhammad Abdul Nasir MA PhD, all honorable attendees whom I cannot mention one by one. First and foremost, let us express our gratitude to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the most gracious and merciful. Secondly, salawat and salam may be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, and his companion. Ladies and gentlemen, with great pleasure and excitement, I welcome you all to the International Workshop on Legal Research, Generative Artificial Intelligence and Creativity, Mataram, Tuesday, October 14th, 2023. Our agenda for today is as follows. The first is opening. Dear everyone, let's all together open this meeting by reciting Al-Basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The second agenda is singing of the national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Please, all attendees, be kindly to stand up. Thank you, and please be kindly seated. The next is welcoming speech from Director of Postgraduate Studies of State Islamic University of Mataram, Professor Dr. Haji Fahrul Razi MA. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Excellencies, Rector of State Islamic University Mataram, Profesor Dr. Tuan Guru Haji Masnun Tahir, our special guest, Excellency Professor Dr. Stefan Koos from Munchen, Germany. Welcome to Lombok. This is the second time for you to come to Uin Mataram. And professor, lecturer, student, and all participants. Alhamdulillah, this morning we will have one top program for Pascasarjana Uin Mataram. That is international workshop on artificial intelligence and law. Before that, I would like to inform to you all that our director, Professor Fahrul Razi, has another meeting with the assessor for international certificate ISO, because we want to have a ISO for Uin Mataram, and half of the Kaprodi and Sekprodi now attending meeting with the Professor Sugeng from Uin Malang to prepare for ISO certificate, and some of us come here for the program, and they will come here after they finish their program there. Pak Rektor, Prof. Stefan, and ladies and gentlemen, we would like to inform you that the participant of this program consists of lecturers and students of graduate school. Actually, this program was intended for public lecture, for studium general. Jadi seharusnya ini acara studium general dengan mengundang all graduate student, but we are now in the calm, masa tenang masa tenang before pemilu. Oleh karena itu edaran dari kementerian dan juga dari Pak Rektor, we are advised to have online learning and teaching. So that's why we will have another program for general for studium general, and now we have, I think, no less important, even more important program on workshop for artificial intelligence, because this is new issue that all of us must willingly know, understand, and even use it for academic purposes. Jadi AI, artificial intelligence ini sekarang menjadi satu isu ya, termasuk dalam soal publikasi dan dalam hal research. Apakah AI itu bisa diklaim sebagai author karena isunya sampai kita membuat artikel itu minta bantuan itu ya. Tapi nanti Prof. Stefan akan banyak memberikan penjelasan tentang itu dan how to make it beneficial to improve our research quality. Again, I thank you very much for Prof. Stefan for his time, karena beliau hanya 1 minggu di sini, kemudian balik lagi ke Jerman, so very tight schedule. Kami juga meminta, we kindly request Pak Rektor untuk memberikan sambutan dan membuka secara resmi kegiatan pada pagi hari ini. Kurang lebihnya cukup dari kami. Sekian, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Our next agenda is welcome and opening speech delivered by Rector of State Islamic University of Mataram, Professor Dr. Haji Masnun MAG. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wa bihi nasta'inu ala umurid dunya waddin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'il mursalin. Amma ba'du. His Excellency Mr. Professor Stefan Koos, yeah. Welcome to Lombok, welcome to Uin Mataram. The second time, yes. 2 years ago, give us the international seminar, yeah, about metaverse, hukum Islam dan metaverse. Jadi masih ingat, dan foto yang di depan itu masih gemuk waktu itu kan. Ya. Nanti kita edit lagi biar kelihatan langsing kayak saya itu ya. Jadi ternyata beliau sudah turun 15 kilo ya. 15 kilo, sehingga jangan dikasih snack siang nanti ini, snacknya diambil aja, jangan dikasih. jadi, beliau itu antara pokoknya sarapan sama zuhur tuh nggak kayak kita ini, makan pikuli makan jadi tengguru salimul jihad. jadi beliau nggak makan. Yang sama-sama kita hormati Wakil Direktur Pasca, Profesor M. Abdul Nasir, karena Pak Direktur juga tadi seperti disampaikan oleh Pak Prof Nasir masih munakasah, masih ujian dengan tim dari ISO ya. Jadi berbagi saya kemarin, terus hari ada dek dan sampai semua. Jadi dalam rangka persiapan kita untuk menambah akreditasi ya, juga dari luar. Kemudian teman saya Pak Ribahan ya, ini teman saya perjabatan, beliau ini memang ahli bahasa Inggris dari dulu ya. Nah, jadi Pak Ribahan ahli itu sama dengan Pak Fathul Mawjud ahli gitu, jadi ahli-ahli semua. Nah, jadi dulu almarhum Pak John ahli itu juga yang teman saya. Seluruh guru besar, para dosen ya. Ini ada dosen-dosen senior juga kalau istilah kita ini ya. Prof Sai ini. Jadi semua tim Pasca yang berbahagia, tentunya alhamdulillah walaupun kita dalam suasana hari tenang ya, tidak mengurangi aktivitas kita untuk melaksanakan kegiatan yang syarat makna, yang saya kira ini isu yang sangat crash ya, artificial intelligence, dan bagaimana kita memaknainya dan menggunakannya ketika melakukan riset-riset. Jadi saya diskusi tadi dengan Prof Stefan Koos, nanti beliau akan memberikan ya bagaimana membuat atau mendesain ya paper atau makalah-makalah menggunakan chat GPT ya. Karena itu yang walaupun masih banyak perdebatan di situ ya. Jadi apakah boleh itu, tetapi beliau akan mengajari kita, memberikan berbagi cerita ya. Jadi beliau dari Munchen. Kalau sudah dengar Munchen itu Bayern Munchen. Jadi itu dari tadi beliau bilang Bundesliga, tapi itu federal ya, dari federal ya. Jadi saya tanya aja itu, karena saya juga kalau sudah Jerman Oliver Kahn dan itu hafal namanya. Kalau berbicara filsafat tuh siapa Bu Atun? Oliver Roy ya. Ya jadi Close ya. Close ya. Jadi itu yang lalu-lalu itu, ada yang terbaru-baru. Jadi nontonnya tahun 2000 kalau Close itu. Sebelum Profesor Pak Hamim ini. Nah, kita tidak bisa ya kemudian terpaku, kemudian tidak mengupdate pengetahuan kita ya. Memang kita tidak bisa, tidak pernah mengundang diskursus kontemporer seperti ini. Tiba-tiba ada chat GPT, kemudian artificial intelligence, itu kan min haitsu la yahtasib itu, tiba-tiba datang, dan kita tidak bisa mengelak dari modernitas itu. So maka kita harus update. Memang benar dalam Fathul Mu'in itu Bu Faiza ya, jadi beliau yang Bu Hajah itu, Bu Nikmah yang Tuluddin ya. Jadi ya Ibu Alena at-ta'allumu wat ta'lim wal amalu bihi. Itu kaidahnya Tengguru Sauki deh. Sauki Bik ada Tengguru Salim. Jadi wajib atas kita untuk amai Pak Direktur yang berkuasa. jadi yajib alaina at-ta'allum, itu wajib atas kita untuk belajar ya, keep update ya, mengupdate diri sendiri. Jadi wat ta'lim, kemudian mengupdatekan orang lain, mengajari orang lain ya. Wal amalubi, kemudian sudah belajar, mengajar, dan yang ketiga itu mengamalkannya, mengimplementasikan. Saya masih ada sisa-sisa Fathul Mu'in saya waktu Man PK itu ya. Jadi nah hari ini kita mengupdate ilmu kita dari beliau Stefan Koos yang memang siap sampai sore. Tapi nanti ada break ya, untuk minum saja Pak Koos ya, atau makan juga? Oh, makan bisa. Jadi jam 12 sudah makan sampai jam 1. Sampai jam 2 beliau boleh makan. Oh ya, ini beda dengan kita, tidak ada undangan maulid ya. Jadi 3 kali ya, 3 time every day ya. Jadi kalau kita ini di mana-mana ketemu ya. Saya ini 5 kali diundang pembukaannya, 5 kali makan snack itu. Nah, 5 kali ngantuknya juga. Jadi sekali lagi selamat kepada Pasca yang ini juga bagian dari, saya jujur saja kemarin waktu raker dengan Pak Menteri itu ada 7 poin yang harus kita stressing, fokus ya. Ada moderasi, kemudian tata kelola, good university governance, kemudian internasionalisasi kampus. Nah saya kira hari ini juga bagian itu di samping kemarin ya. Ada karya teman-teman itu dari Pasca yang proceedingnya terbit di Routledge University. Jadi itu juga bagian dari internasionalisasi kampus kita. Kemudian nanti ada akreditasi. Sekali lagi kami berterima kasih, dan tentunya pesannya Pak Menteri, pesannya bukan pesan pemilihan besok, itu sudah bisa dilihat dari saya aja kalau yang besok itu ya. Saya ini tegak lurus itu berdirinya ya. Jadi semua kegiatan-kegiatan kampus itu harus diekspos seluas-luasnya. Bahasa beliau, kalau yang buruk-buruk itu nggak usah diekspos, mesti terbuka. Nah, mesti orang sudah membuka itu, sudah ngirim itu. Tetapi yang baik-baik itu jarang ada. Jadi sekali lagi ini saya catat bahasa underline itu. Jadi semua kegiatan bukan riak di sini, bukan sum'ah ya. Tetapi ini bagian dari pertanggungjawaban publik. Apakah Uin Mataram itu dicontohkan juga beberapa. Yang populer itu adalah percingnya kan gitu kan. Karena kalau ada asesor dari Mataram itu wah, percingnya enak, padahal nilainya juga kadang nggak enak. Yang balik dari habis asesor di Uin Mataram. Jadi sekali lagi ini juga bagian dari semua memberitakan ya. Jadi bukan bahasanya gitu. Kalau yang buruk-buruk tentang kampus nggak usah diberitakan, mesti ada yang cari. Ya. Mesti ada yang. Kalau pengumuman SPP, UKT itu mesti orang tidak akan pernah nyari. Malah berharap dia telat dan perpanjangan. Tetapi kalau kegiatan seperti ini, kalau kita tidak expose, itu tidak akan ada yang. Jadi bagus ini saya Pak Dr. Lalu Nurul Waton ini yang tangannya itu cepat sekali itu. Ya. Kalau Pak Direktur itu bulan-bulan ini khas isi Facebooknya 2 hal. Nah, ini saya ini besok ada kaul jadidnya. Ini kaul kode. Saya baca ini 2 hal. Ini saya tidak bisa baca kitab, tapi cukup baca Facebooknya Pak Direktur itu sudah dapat ilmu banyak itu. Lebih dari 2 hal ilmunya. Ini tarak tupikom amrain. Saya menulis 2 hal. Jadi itu. Jadi Alkitabah warisalah katanya. yaitu yang tertulis dan yang di SMS. Jadi sekali lagi terima kasih atas, memang tadi limited ini Prof Stefan Koos ya, karena hari tenang sekitar 50 diundang dan saya ini ahli-ahli semua. Sudah profesor-profesor ya, kemudian ada yang lama dan baru. Nah, jadi tetapi ini mari kita ikuti bersama kegiatan-kegiatan di Pasca yang alhamdulillah Pak Direktur bersama Pak Wadir bersama Kaprodi itu menghadirkan pemateri yang otoritatif di bidangnya. Sekali lagi terima kasih Pak Stefan Koos ya. Jadi baru semalam dia bisa tidur nyenyak. Ya, saya bilang sering-sering ke Lombok ini biar tidur nyenyak. Ya, jadi itu. Jadi memang Lombok seperti itu ya, kalau sudah ke Lombok tidak mau pulang. Ya, jadi apalagi kepedasan nggak mungkin pulang-pulang itu kan. Sekali lagi selamat mengikuti ya, melaksanakan international workshop oleh Pascasarjana Uin Mataram. Kita berharap kegiatan ini berjalan lancar, sukses, dan tentunya sekali lagi tetap diberikan kesehatan keafiatan. Sebelum kami buka, juga kami mohon keikhlasan Bapak Ibu untuk membacakan Fatihah kepada saudari kita Ibu Bayi Ari ya. Mudah-mudahan husnul khatimah dan segala amal ibadah yang diterima oleh Allah Subhanahu wa taala, segala kehilafannya dimaafkan dan kita juga diberikan kesehatan, umur yang panjang. Al-Fatihah. Akhirnya mengharap ridha Allah Subhanahu wa taala dan kesuksesannya kegiatan ini, mari kita buka dengan sama-sama baca basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Pak Rektor. Next, MOU signing between Postgraduate Study of State Islamic University of Mataram and Universitat der Bundeswehr Munchen, Germany. I would like to invite the delegates from both sides to approach the signing table. Okay, give applause. The last agenda is dua or prayer led by Profesor Dr. Haji Lalu Supriyadi bin Mujib. Please proceed to podium.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bapak Ibu segenap hadirin, marilah kita berdoa agar acara kita ini selalu dalam limpahan keberkahan dan keridhaan dari Allah Subhanahu wa taala. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Hamdan syakirin, hamdan na'imin, hamdan yuwafi na'amahu wa yukafi'u mazidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhikal karim wa 'azimi sultanik. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammadin fil awwalin, Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammadin fil akhirin, Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammadin fil mala'il a'la ila yaumiddin. Allahumma arzuqna ni'matan ya'jizu anha syukruna ولا تبتلينا ببلاء يعجز عنه صبرنا. اللهم إنا وكلناك أمورنا فأنت خير وكيل ودبر لنا أمورنا فإنا لا نحسن التدبير. اللهم إنا نسألك موجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك والغنيمة من كل بر والسلامة من كل إثم والفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. ثم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, with the completion of opening ceremony, okay, our agenda finished. Now let us to proceed to the core of our agenda today. Okay, and then we would like to invite our keynote speaker, Professor Stefan Koos, and the session will be handled by Ibu Ade Alimah MA. Time is yours. Sekian, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bapak Ibu, shall we begin now? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to welcome you again. Welcome to Lombok. And I read a lot of stories about Professor Koos through Google. I don't use generative AI to browse about you, but I do always use Google. And thank you also for your coming for this workshop. So there will be 2 sessions. The first one is about theoretical framework. Professor Koos will explain theories about generative AI and creativity. So he really expects you to come again in our next session from 2 to 4 p.m. In which you have to do like hand in the next session. So for now on, he will explain the theoretical framework about generative AI and creativity. I think last month I taught a group of students who plan to study overseas for their PhD, and some of my students asked me if they can use artificial intelligence to help them write their essays and articles. And my answer was unclear even until now. I didn't give myself or my students a yes or no answer, because I think I'm still skeptical, and hopefully after this workshop I will have clearer mind and clearer insight how to use artificial intelligence in our research and publication. So my first concern about artificial intelligence is, the first one is about the credibility, reliability, or validity of the data given by, let's say, ChatGPT-4, because it's known that artificial intelligence can provide us with fictitious information or wrong information, fake information, because they summarize data from the internet. There is also limitation of the data that artificial intelligence can give to us. I guess artificial intelligence cannot give us the newest data, for example, that was published last year. That my first concern, but maybe because I have very limited interaction with generative AI. The only AI that I have used, but not really generative AI, just normal AI, I have used, for example, Grammarly for probably since 2011. And last year, at the end of last year, Grammarly issued the newest generative AI. So I use free Grammarly. If you subscribe to premium Grammarly, Grammarly will polish your writing. So English is not my mother tongue, not even my second language. So I really use AI to polish my language, but I have never asked AI to write my essay. For example, ChatGPT-4 can write for us until 25,000 word text from probably, I don't know, from zero. We will learn about this from Professor Koos in the next session. So, because English is not my mother tongue and not my second language, I use Grammarly. Grammarly is not really generative AI, but last year Grammarly issued generative AI that can refresh, rewrite our writing. But there is another concern, because I'm trading off between efficiency, because if we use AI will give you a lot of information in a matter of seconds, very quick, like you just click and then it works for you. But I'm thinking about like efficiency and authenticity. So maybe AI will make our research and publication really good, but and then I face like some ethical dilemma. Is this really my own writing, or is this really my own work, or how many percentage is my work and how many percentage is artificial intelligence work? So there is, in myself, there is a dilemma between authenticity and efficiency. I'm not sure about accuracy that can be given by artificial intelligence. I don't really trust anything comes from the internet, because in scholarly writing we really need to refer to credible and reputable scholarly, probably books or journal articles. So if, for example, I asked ChatGPT-4 to write for me an essay, like 25,000 word essay on transformation of Islamic education, should I believe everything that is written by AI, or should I verify or double check? If I always have to double check whatever artificial intelligence give to us, it's not efficient. So I think Professor Koos may give us like insight how to integrate between generative AI and humans' creativity. To what extent we can use generative AI in our research and publication, and also how can we use generative AI in a legitimate and ethical ways. That still become my questions, and hopefully, because I know generative AI really help us, and between the fight, we have to publish or perish, and if we don't use technology, we still can write, we can still do research and write and publish, but probably in very long way. I think generative AI give you efficiency in terms of time. I'm not sure about cost, because some are free, some AI are free, and some are you need to subscribe and pay. So without further ado, let's listen to Professor Koos' explanation about generative AI and creativity, and I believe that we will get a new insight and we can use it in our real life, in our research and publication work. The floor is yours.
Is it already on? Ya. Halo. Ya, mungkin saya mau mulai dengan menjawab di sini. Mungkin kita harus bikin difference antara bagaimana bikin kata-kata dan untuk bikin teks di estetis atau transfer knowledge. So mungkin di research tidak masalah benar besar, ya, karena di research yang penting adalah transfer knowledge, ya, tidak estetik. Ya, karena berapa artikel hari ini di jurnal di Indonesia are estetik, not so much, ya, not so aesthetic. I mean banyak artikel tidak yang Inggris mungkin tidak baik, ya, structure tidak baik, ya, itu biasa karena di sini dosen-dosen harus selalu bikin publikasi. Juga kalau mungkin tidak mau bilang sesuatu, ya, mungkin tidak ada menarik, tapi harus publikasi, harus memproduksi teks. Itu estetis? No, it's not aesthetic, yeah, it's just for doing something. So I would not see it so difficult, yeah, so with the aesthetic, we are not here, but we will talk also about what will be the art in the future, yeah, what is with the art, with the culture in the future. This picture here, for example, is showing a little bit about that, yeah. So it's the generative AI did that. It's DAL-E, and sometimes DAL-E is surprisingly back thinking, so background thinking, yeah. So I said make a title for the presentation, generative AI and creativity, and it gives me that Muse, and then this robot here. Think about that. The Muse is something flexible, is the fantasy, is the creation of a human, of humanity, of culture, and it gives the idea to the robot, and then the robot is awakened from the ideas. So this is not the robot giving us the idea, it's still the human being giving the idea to the robot, giving the idea to the machine, and then the machine will do something. This shows a little bit, yeah, so how the AI is regarding itself, yeah. It's, in my opinion, very nice. even if I think in the future I will not do these presentations anymore with these artificial intelligence made illustrations, because in a moment it is stunning to see that all the illustrations in my presentation are done with AI. It is stunning, but how long we will be interested in that? How long? I mean, sooner or later we'll be all bored, because any idiot can make these illustrations in seconds, yeah? That is not art from being able to do something, being able to do something which someone else would not be able to do. Yeah, oh, you are a good painter, you paint better than others, you can something special, you can do something special. Here, it's not that I can do something special, any idiot can do that. That means we will have a flood and inflation of these things. And then who of us will be interested in that anymore? So I will come back to normal presentations without this in the future. In a moment it's still interesting. But I wanted to keep that picture, because this picture is high symbolic. And I did not create that symbolic. So this is a little bit creepy in my opinion. But what I want to do is, I want to show you a little bit of the theory first. That will be the longer part. So I will tell you about what is the GPT and how you should not use it. Because you said writing text, 25,000 words, you should not do that. You should not write text with that. And the question, should we allow our students to use it, is clearly to answer with yes. But we must train the people. And that is because people don't know for what is this tool. Yeah, it is like giving a 5-year-old child the key for your car and say, here is your new toy. You have a car, you can move around with that. I mean, what would they do with the car? They would make accident and kill people with that. Yeah, or give your little daughter a Kalashnikov. Yeah, what would the daughter do? She will kill the other children in the kindergarten. Is that a bad product, the car? Is the Kalashnikov a bad product, a part of the ethic problem of weapons? No. If you give it in the right hand, it can defend you. If you give it in the right hand, you can move around with that. It's the same with this here. The problem is not the AI. The problem is the communication of the media about the AI. What the media tell us, wow, there is new instrument, try that. You can do all these things. Yeah, you can write everything, you can make poems, you can everything. Yeah, so this is what I want to do. And then in the last part, which will be not so long, in the afternoon, I recommend you to come in that part also. I will develop together with you a scientific paper just with prompting around. And after we prompt that paper, we will see how we make a presentation in a third of the part of the time we usually use for making presentations. I used for a presentation of 40 slides around 3 to 4 weeks before. Now I do that in 3 to 5 days. Yeah, not because I do fakes here or I'm cheating around with AI, but because this tool takes away the boring work which lasts long in my creativity, which is heavy for my brain, which is really taking my time, consuming my time, which I not have for the really creative parts. Yeah, so this is important. I don't want to know who of you already use it. I'm sure not anybody already use it. Many people say here in Indonesia, also lecturers say, yeah, I know that, and then if you ask them around, then you notice they have no idea. Maybe they don't not even use it, or just for some easy things. But I am co-editor in many journals in Indonesia, and also reviewer, and I get a lot of Indonesian lecturers' papers on my table to review them. And I reject many papers because these papers are obviously not accurately written, yeah, because of the language issue, because of what I mentioned of structure, because there is no really idea, there is no really research question, so there is really no structure, and we cannot blame the writers for these quality problems in their papers alone, because it's also the system here that we are forced here to write all the time. Yeah, so in Germany I don't have this pressure to all the time publish. If I'm not published a year, then nobody says something. This is not the business of my university, of my decan or my rector or the minister. Yeah, because the science is free in Germany. This is a scientific, it's a constitutional principle that you cannot force a professor to publish. If I'm not interested in a topic, I not publish. But here you must all the time produce. And the second thing is, we are dominated by Anglo-Saxons in the culture, in the scientific culture. Yeah. So I like to mention that this is, I think 2 years ago I also said that this is the scientific imperialism of Anglo-Saxon countries. Whenever we publish in international journals, and that is me and this is you. German is not my English is not my mother tongue. This is German. English is not your mother tongue. This is Bahasa Indonesia and your local languages. This means we are handicapped. We must compete with Australians, Brits, Americans, Canadians. They come here. They are the big guys. Speak excellent English. Yeah. And even if I can speak fluently English, sorry, if I write a paper, even me, and I send it to American or British journal, you will see what the reviewers say about my English. Yeah. It is not competitive unless I pay a high-paid translator from in the capital, send it to him and pay a lot of money that he changes. And then I ask you, is that really your words? If that translator changed your text, it's also not your words, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's your word. Is it your thinking? Is it your idea? Or not? That's what matters. Not it's my word. If I translate with people, or it's also not my words. It's because I'm not English. But what I want to say from before I start is that this one, at least, even if it's really, I would be happily back in the 80s when I grow up. The 80s were the better time because we did not have to care for what will the AI do with our society and populism here, populism there. We had the good old Cold War. In the good old Cold War, we knew there were the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union will not attack America, and America will not attack the Soviet Union. There were reasonable leaders in the Soviet Union. It was not just one person deciding something. Yeah. So it was very clear there was an equilibrium of power. Nothing will happen. And if populism, yeah, they had to write their letters in the newspapers, yeah, and that's it. And not idiot. Every idiot can spread his ideas like a journalist. Anybody is nowadays journalist, yeah. This is sort of a democratization of opinion, but it's also, a little bit dangerous, and that will potentiate this. But I want to say this generative AI gives you the chance for a democratization of science, because we all have now the option to compete with Anglo-Saxon researchers, because we can write perfect texts with that, and we don't have to pay a lot of money for proofreaders and for translators, because we can, if we use it in the right way, we can do that. We can do the same quality like others. And in the future, I don't want to see any paper of Indonesian researchers with bad English or bad structure, because then I know that guy does not know how to use the tool in a proper way. What I want to say is we are forced to use the tool. This is highly disruptive. I want to show you that, and I will show you why issues like plagiarism are anachronistic. Nobody cares for plagiarism anymore. And I want to show you what is the ethic use and the right use for making the best value for you using the tool. Because one thing is clear, even if that is the enemy, and for me the AI is the enemy, yeah, I'm not happy with that technology, not really. But even if this is the enemy, this has come and will stay, and it will get more. And the best way to face that is to know your enemy and to use your enemy in a way that you will not go down. Yeah, and that's why we must do that. It is very important that you even if we are all older and we are not the youngest generation, even if I was 80, I would now know how to do that. Yeah, so let's start. I don't want to go into the technical details. What is important here is that not only ChatGPT, GPT-4, or the BART, or the Talk to Claude, all these generative AI is nothing else than statistical model. So AI is not really, from that definition, intelligent, as it has no idea about things. It has no logic. AI is purely statistic, language statistic, or pattern statistic. AI can define or can analyze patterns and can deduct statistically from certain patterns, it is trained with about similarities of patterns and then produce something similar. If you have a sentence like selamat, then statistically there is a certain chance that there comes pagi, atau malam, atau sore, atau siang. Yeah, that's all. So, trained with a lot of data, with millions of data, not only from internet, from all, these models have, if you want to call it experience, but in a different way than you and human being, have experience what word will follow, which sentence will follow if the first sentence was like this. That's all. And that means it is absolutely stupid, bodoh. It is not logic. It is not logic, it is not ethic, it cannot be ethic, and maybe even the highest developed generative AI language systems, large language systems, will always have the issue with the hallucinations. You cannot, there are researchers who say, IT researchers who say, that is in the system integrated, that there is always a certain hallucination. Because these systems are not educated. What does that mean? If we want to humanize these systems, what we should not do, but if we want to humanize it in a limited way at least, then we can compare it with a little child. When my daughter, when she was 3 years and already spoke, when my daughter went to a supermarket with me and she sees a bappa with only one leg, I could not be sure that my daughter says, hello, look, that bappa, only one leg. Would we do that? No, we would not insult this bappa. We would not point with the finger to someone. But my daughter, can we be angry to my daughter? We cannot, because my daughter cannot know that. She's not trained. She has no experience with that. She does not know yet which is social status or social standard, how to behave. So a human being which is wild and never educated might not know that it should not kill another one. So we learn that. We learn behavior, we learn certain patterns of behavior because we know that is necessary to function in the society. And these AIs, they are trained with a vast number of data, and in the beginning, or even now, these data are not filtered. So this is absolutely uneducated, yeah? And I give you an example. What if we check in the Google about should women, after they get a child and are married, should women work or study? Yeah? I mean, from my ethical point of view, and which is also clearly in my culture, is that we have that a woman should have the same rights like men. So women have the right to work, and I personally have no problem that my wife works, and even if my wife brings 3 times as much money home, this is not an issue. I would be glad. Yeah? But how many % of the human population in the world think like this? So if you think what happened with the German team in Qatar in the World Cup, when Germany showed a rainbow flag, there was a lot of scandal in Qatar, because in Qatar they said, rainbow flag, that. For my culture it's normal, that LGBTQ. But not in all cultures it's normal to say, okay, why not? Let's tolerate that, yeah? So what is right, what is wrong is not the decision, it's not the question here. The question is here, if someone wants to know about LGBTQ or want to know about female emancipation, people would Google around, right? So if 3/3 or 3/4 of the human society is still living in the idea women should not work and women should stay at home, then that is the standard of knowledge in the swarm intelligence in the internet. I want to say this is the typical way why populism is so dangerous nowadays, because in the Twitter, for example, we could think, wow, this opinion is the majority. But it's not the majority, it's just because a lot of bots are trained by maybe some dictator to influence the public opinion, and the public opinion is influenced because the people see, wow, the majority thinks like this. But is it really the ethic, this is another question, right? So just because three-quarter of people in the world think that women should not work, it does not mean that is correct, and that is fine, and this is ethically okay. But the AI is trained with that data. So we clearly see why the AI is basically biased. Yeah? So if we want to get rid of this, we cannot trust that AI is intelligent to know it is not good to limit people because everyone is individual and so on and so on. Yeah, we cannot. So the only chance to change that is to train AI, and that is what these makers of the AIs try. Because yeah, we will have an AI regulation in the European Union, and in that AI regulation, they are not allowed to influence the society in an unethical way. We don't allow that. So the systems are in a danger because they are in danger that they are liable. So what they try now is to train the AIs. So I heard that in Nigeria, there are a lot of young men sitting in front of computers and do nothing else than check photos from AI, porno photograph. They check pornography. The whole day they do nothing else than check pornography and check out whether that is children pornography or normal pornography. Because pornography, it would be tolerable for the training pictures, but not children pornography. They don't want that later this picture generative AI, which creates pictures, thinks, yeah? That children pornography is something normal, and someone says, create me a photo where the child does this and this, and then it creates that because there is no ethic behind it. So what they do is checking out, is this children pornography, is this animal pornography, or is it normal sexual pornography or normal erotic? Yeah, because if normal erotic pass, if children pornography, take it out of the training data, otherwise it will be trained with that dirt. Yeah. So can you imagine these poor men? Yeah, what they go through it. I would not be able to sleep anymore when I have to work 8 hours and just check these pornographies. Yeah. So this is what I want to say. Don't forget, this is statistical. So if you compare it with Google, this is already the wrong approach. Yeah. So we cannot Google with AI. We cannot say, oh, let's ask the AI about that. If I ask the AI about something, I know it could be absolute bullshit what it answers me. But it gives me the incentive to check it out whether it's correct, and it gives me also maybe ideas, or it gives me a starting point how I can do my research. That's all, and I want to start with that because this is the most important takeaway from today. It is purely statistic. It does not know anything. So it is very good for recognize patterns. So if we, for example, have a document. Maybe we want to make joint research with our colleagues, and my colleague sent me a paper draft, and I want to know what I can improve in that paper and how I can integrate my own ideas into the paper. I can, of course, give this paper to the AI and analyze this paper. A part of that I should maybe anonymize it, yeah, because of the data protection issue, and I should not maybe give the AI some information, technical information, which is important for my patent later, yeah. So they know my invention already, yeah. So be careful with transferring the knowledge to this company, but I can give it the paper and let it analyze the paper, and then it gives me an idea whether the structure is consistent, what it can be improved, there is issues with the language, there is a break in the argumentation, even that it can see, and it can tell me in which part I could integrate a certain idea which I give it in front. But that's it. Is that intelligent? No, it is not intelligent. It is really purely pattern recognition. It seems intelligent, it is impressing how it talks with us because it can use our language, but it is just a better parrot, actually. It's sort of a parrot. We're also impressed if the parrot says something, but we know the parrot has no idea what he says here. It has finally no idea. That does not mean that it is not useful for us. It is the highest disruptive technology in the last 100 years. I would say, and that is why when I hear talking about share market, and then there are analysts in the YouTube and say, don't buy Microsoft anymore or buy technology shares anymore because that will break down again. Yeah, it will go down a lane, but on the long term, if you keep these shares 10 years, I would be very doubtful if I would not become rich with that, because it is absolutely unthinkable that they will not make a lot of money in the next 10 to 20 years. This is like inventing the trains, inventing the internet. This is absolutely disruptive. And if I was you and if I was the young students in our universities, I would be very, very worried. Not because we don't know who we need in the future. We don't know how many lawyers we will need, how many notaries we will need. We don't know what will be the task of the lawyers and the notaries. If I would be someone illustrating or someone making these drawers for building houses, for architecture, and so I would be very worried. And I was thinking a lot about that, and I said to my wife, be prepared for that. She wants to make something, she wants to work something, she studies business management, and I was be accustomed with that, because this is really more disruptive than you ever could imagine. Yeah, and I don't exaggerate with that. I'm sure like this. So is this intelligent? This is a definition from the 90s. If you read that, it is intelligent. But come on, doesn't matter. This is a theoretical problem if we call it intelligence or not intelligence. Yeah, let's just look at what it can do and how we can use it. So I want to start to show you one of the problems with this citation of John R. Searle, which is an American researcher from Stanford University, and he said already early that the AI can never be intelligent. So again, this is a theoretical philosophical problem, how we define intelligence. Some of the aspects of intelligence it has already, yeah? But if it comes to, for example, these emotional intelligence things, yeah, it has not like this, of course, yeah. And the creativity, I would be not so sure if it hasn't creativity, because it can be very flexible, and we cannot even define our own creativity. We don't even know what makes the human intelligence, yeah. So how to define that? It is difficult. But he talked about that, and then I was thinking, who is that actually? And then I asked the AI, do you agree with him? Okay, this is not so interesting. But if we come to the question, if GPT was just a more advanced Google and the hallucination issue, then I ask it, is John Searle still alive? And he is alive. He's very old, I think 97 or so, but he's still alive. And it answers, no, John Searle passed away on July 31st, 22 at the age of 89. And this is a lie. You can easily Google it, and you can read in the Wikipedia that he is already more than 90 years old and still living. And then I remind the AI that Wikipedia says that he's still alive. And now read the answer. I apologize for any confusion caused. This is typical AI answer. Typical polite of American politeness, yeah. So this American blah blah. I apologize for that, and so blah blah blah. Instead of just saying, I insist he's dead, yeah, or oh sorry, I'm wrong, yeah, something like that. It says I apologize for that. But the best thing is it apologizing around and then said my training data only goes up to September 21. I was not aware of John Searle's passing. Huh? First question, if your training data until 21 and you cannot say something about later, why you say he passed away 22? How you know then? Yeah? And second, I told you he did not pass. Why you insist that I said he passed away? Why you insist here? It still insists he's dead. So use GPT-4 or whatever as a Google. This one is very obvious, but it's not always obvious. Yeah? So already in advance, and we must allow our students to use GPT for writing bachelor thesis or master thesis, then, or we must change the pattern of how we make examinations. So maybe we must change more to oral examinations and find out whether they really know about the topic or just let someone write it. That is nothing else than what they always could do. I read a statistic, an article about Indonesian students, how many % use ghostwriters. It is incredible how many students use ghostwriters.
Yeah.
In Jakarta, it's full with agencies doing ghostwriting. So why the problem is bigger now if their ghostwriter is at home in their computer? If they anyway could. It's just, isn't that even more democratic? Because now even the poor can have a ghostwriter. Yeah? Because the rich one anyway could make a ghostwriting and nobody cared, right? I mean, how you want to prove that? Yeah, the ghostwriting. Now we have a ghostwriter at home and it's very cheap. Pay 1 month $20 and you have your ghostwriter there. But so let's check out whether they really know about what they write here. So of course I can write a long text about growing roses, but if you ask me about my text, if it's written by the AI, I will not be able to answer you. And then we must check out, and that gives us lecturers more work, we must check out whether there are breaks in the logic, breaks in the argumentation, issues with the language, little mistakes. Because before, when there was, for example, a mistake in the paragraph they cite, I would say, okay, can happen, yeah? Okay, you nevertheless get the good note. Now I would say, oh, there's the wrong paragraph. This means you did not use the tool in the proper way. And the tool, you can use the tool to correct it, and the tool would have found out that this is the wrong paragraph. So the tool was hallucinating, or you did not check your text with the tool. Same happens with this blah, blah, blah. If I see this non-saying anything, this apologize for and then this GPT makes a lot of blah, 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 which sounds very good, but is absolutely empty. Yeah? I know this is a style of some researchers anyway, to write blah, 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 because again, yeah, if we don't have any idea that we publish something, yeah, but we must publish something, then we write blah, blah, blah. Already many people before us wrote, yeah. It is absolutely unimportant, yeah. So already 30% of articles in Indonesian journals are automatically blah, 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 because there is always this method part. This is a normative study, and then make footnote with 3 references. What is normative? What we read in every article here. And before we come to the point, is already 3 pages. We after abstract theory, introduction, it's all blah, 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 right? But ChatGPT makes the blah, blah, blah to perfection. Yeah? Unless you restrict it. And this means you must conduct the ChatGPT to let that blah, blah, blah. Before I let ChatGPT formulate something, for example, I use it for writing abstracts, I tell the ChatGPT, make it not in the enthusiastic American way, but write it like a German writer would write it. And German writers avoid these blah, blah, blah things. We are very cold. Yeah? We are not polite. We are very direct. So we will not, I apologize for that. This is because I'm adapting to maybe to the politeness of some other cultures. But if we're in Germany, we don't write these methods. We made a short introduction and we come into the point what we want to say. Yeah? Because if I write these articles and I send it to German journal, law journal, they will send it back and say, restrict it. We don't want more than 4 or 5 pages. And 3 pages absolutely useless. So a little bit critic to the academic system here. Don't get it wrong. But for that, it's good. So you see, don't use it as a Google. So what is the issue with that? The relevant work with in the future of researchers, lawyers, notaries, all people will be the design of the questions, the so-called prompting, and will be the control of the result. The making of texts in the future is absolutely irrelevant. We should not take care for the text as a product anymore. So the text is irrelevant because I'm very direct, because any idiot can nowadays write in a second a reasonable text. Yeah? So that by the way, if you are interested in my opinion how to integrate it in the university, in the ResearchGate under my name, you will find an article about the ChatGPT in research in legal studies with my assistant together. That is really written by both of us. My assistant made the draft of the structure and I wrote it down, using also ChatGPT to show you what you can do with that. And this is still all my idea. but you get a summary about my ideas there, so you can read that in English. It's in my ResearchGate, it's the first article there. But text writing is irrelevant, so that's why I think in the future we maybe should not take care of bachelor theses or master theses anymore, or should just let them write it shorter, so that we not read so much, because I cannot read diagonal through it anymore, because I must really analyze it in a proper way, whether there is breaks or whether there is mistakes, because otherwise I cannot know, not like before, reading diagonal the 40 pages of this master thesis and then say, okay, this is a good summary. He has no really own ideas here, and this is not really a contribution to the research, but at least he summarized the idea relatively okay, so you pass. I told my students, you will not pass with mediocre text anymore, because then I don't know whether that is really done by you, Mediocrity is not possible anymore, So I will not pass them anymore. So I warn you to use this. So the problem we have here is, for the practice, of course, we must control and design. This is where we put our creativity, because the design is more difficult than we think, maybe. It's not just asking, write me article about cyber notary. I will show you later what comes out when you do that. It's about giving the AI the right order, in which role it should write it, in which way it should write it, which style it should use, and then it will have only standard ideas. It will not have very sophisticated ideas itself. It will have ideas about the state of the art in the best way, if it has capacity also to use the Google or the Bing. But if I have interesting ideas, I must feed the AI with my ideas, and here's the creativity I give it. So if I write article, and for example in this article I mentioned, if I feed it first with a short speech of my assistant, because my assistant came with me to Indonesia last year, and we have the DAID, German Academic Exchange Program, and we had in Surabaya a presentation about that, and he talked about how we integrated in my faculty. And it was just a short speech of 20 minutes, and he had a concept of that, and I gave the AI the concept to read and said, first make me a structure of that, and then I had my own ideas about that. For example, what is the future of plagiarism? Is that protectable with intellectual property right? What is the structural issue with the intellectual property right? And so on and so on. And what I do is drafting my idea down, give it to the AI, and then ask the AI how can we possibly integrate that. But I always control whether I like that or not. Because there is a lot of unimportant information, there is a lot of not new information, but the really novelty, it will not give you. This, for example, comes out if I asked the AI about writing the article about cyber notary. So this is an experiment I did with the GPT-3 still, but the 4 is also not that better. So I had to write an article about cyber notary, and I did that. So that article is also in the ResearchGate, because this is a big issue here in Indonesia, but actually not so interesting, because there are already hundreds of articles about cyber notary. So okay, I wrote that article about cyber notary, and I know all about cyber notary now in Indonesia. I know the notary law, I know the UU ITE, so maybe I can teach cyber notary and notary law in Indonesia now. But I wanted to know if it knows that, So I asked, does the UU ITE mention cyber notary? And the answer is yes, the Undang-Undang ITE in Indonesia recognizes the concept of a cyber notary, or notaris elektronik in Indonesian. So I don't know how many of you know about the notary law here, but it is first of all not in the UU ITE, it is in the notary law, and better said, it is in the amendment to the notary law of 2014. There is the elucidation of the amendment, and there is mentioned there is also a cyber notary in the Anglicism. So it's cyber notary mentioned, and the issue with in the research is that nobody in Indonesia knows what actually means that. I mean, what should the cyber notary do, and how can he do it, and what does it mean really? What capacities the cyber notary have? But there is nothing such a notaris elektronik. So why it mentioned the notaris elektronik as a term in the Indonesian law? First of all, it doesn't know where it is, and what it does is, statistically, it is very likely that it is in Undang-Undang ITE, because it's something about digitalization, and it should be in Undang-Undang ITE then, right? So it's very likely that is Undang-Undang ITE. That one, it may be Googled that there is Undang-Undang ITE. And second, it deducts from the statistical likeliness that an Indonesian legislator would not use an Anglicism. So he would use the term notaris elektronik in Bahasa because this is not an English text, right? This is an Indonesian legislation. But this is absolutely wrong. Statistically, maybe very likely, but absolutely wrong. Because in fact, the Indonesian legislator used cyber notary, not notaris elektronik. And it is not in this law. And then I asked, what is it? So UU ITE also outlines the requirements for becoming a cyber notary in Indonesia, which includes obtaining a license from the Minister of Communication and Informatics and meeting certain qualifications and criteria. Very nice how it gives advice to the amendment of the law, but this is also absolutely bullshit. First of all, it does not know the structural idea of the notary law in Indonesia, because there are two ideas about cyber notary. There is the cyber notary concept of United States from the American Lawyers Notary Association, and there is the rather continental concept of notary. In the United States, the notary has only the capacity for notification of signings and so on, but it is not a lawyer. The notary in the United States has no law knowledge, at least not deeper knowledge, and he did not studied a lawyer. In the continental law, and also Indonesia follows this model, the lawyer is actually someone who, the notary is someone who studies law, and the notary has other tasks also. The notary has the task also to warn the parties, to give advice to the parties. He must know the law, he must check the law, and so on. And that's also in the cyber notary concept here is nothing else than integrating digital technology into the task of notaries, but not having a notary which has special IT knowledge and has a license for doing notary tasks with digital instruments. So this is all wrong. So I asked you, if you give your student the task to write an article about notary law, how many of our students will find out what is right or wrong here? They will believe that. Like this lawyer, what I read half year ago, making a claim in United States, citing a lot of precedents cases, and the court didn't find any of this case. Yeah. Because all of these cases were hallucinations by the AI. None of these cases existed. So Smith versus Miller, yeah, from 1968, where the honorable judge, I don't know, McCurney decided this and that, absolutely hallucinated. So this lawyer trusted that. So he used the tool in an absolute wrong way. So this is a little bit anticipating about what I want to do in the second session. I want to give you an overview how to use it and how not to use it. So what you can use it for is clearly writing general introductions or overviews. So I call it the boring parts of the papers. Yeah? We all have to do these boring parts. Yeah. It is not creativity to write the methods. Yeah? Okay, it's interesting to say whether we are empirical or normative working, but sorry, I never understood why in the method part they make footnote from some Bappa writing 20 years ago what is normative. Any researcher should know what is normative, right? So, and it is clear that I write about the concept of copyright law in Indonesia compared to Germany, that it is normative. And it is clear that I use legal texts and I use research papers and I use books. So when I had to write the first article in Indonesia, I asked this editor, do I have to write that? Yeah, sorry, pa, yeah. We have template, okay, then I write it. And what I do is three sentences. This is a normative article. I use sources from research and also legal text. I let it be done by this one here, yeah. Also, what I hate is writing the abstracts. But I admit the abstract has a purpose, okay, yeah. So I need what I can do is writing Bahasa abstracts with that. I hate abstract writing, because abstract writing, good abstract writing, is not so easy. Because sometimes people just take a shorter form of the introduction, but this is not an abstract. And this is excellent for my writing abstracts, because it knows the main ideas. It can really summarize excellent, and I can say make the abstract, I don't know, 100 words or so, then it's perfect, yeah? Also the keywordings. The keyword, it analyzes me excellent keywords. This is really, really good. It spares me a lot of time. For example, what I also use it for is when I must make oral examinations for my lecture, I give the GPT my PowerPoint as a PDF, and then I let it extract examination questions. Yeah? So it defines me a list of questions, and this is excellent. I almost do not have anything to change here. This is a very, very, very good purpose for this tool, because it is absolutely not creative to do these things. It is absolutely time stealing. And time is money, and in our case it's not making money with the time. In our case time is creativity. So the time I spare I can use for the real creative things. Yeah, and even if it's playing with my daughter. So summarizing texts, excellent. I had last week I had to prepare for an Indonesian conference, a paper about, or a presentation about the new regulation on the AI, which is now out, and in 2nd of February the Minister of the European Union member states approved the draft. And I wanted to compare with the approach of China, of the People's Republic of China, and of course I cannot read Chinese, but I found the original paper, or the original draft. They have some order of the government about how to use the LLM, also the large language models, and I let it not only translate, I let it summarize me, and once it summarizes it, then you know it is interesting for you, it is contain anything for you or not. When I do research here in Indonesia and write papers here, I must read only also papers of Indonesian fellows, and some are in Bahasa, and I cannot read diagonal in Bahasa. So if I know where I want to know something, I can read and understand more or less, but I cannot. It takes me a long time to read 10 pages, 3 pages, and totally unuseful, yeah. And then know where is actually a statement I can use or not. Yeah. So what I can do with this is I let the ChatGPT, first of all, I can summarize it. Then I know, is it talking about what I want to know? And then if I think it's more interesting, I can even let it translate, of course. But for that we have also other tools, DeepL and so on. It's very good. But very important is I can let it read, and then I can ask the ChatGPT about certain ideas. For example, I can. When I had this draft for this AI regulation, which is a really, really long draft, it's really a lot of explanations by the Commission and so on and so on. It's really, really long to read, and this diagonal is really heavy. So I wanted to know if they say something about certain issue. For example, you want to know, do they say something about bias? Then you can ask, after you let it summarize it, you can ask the GPT, does the text speak about bias, and if so, in which part, in which article? Yeah, the same I do with Indonesian legislation, the same I do with Indonesian journal articles, and then it tells me, yeah, it speaks about that, and then I can identify the place where it exactly is, and then I can translate it for me and see whether it's exactly something I can use or not. Use it like this, you spare a lot of time, and you will be very effective. Proofreading, self-understanding what it means, but proofreading is really surprising good with the GPT-4, or also the BARD also. Last week I read a LinkedIn article by some famous lawyer in Germany who is always posting there, and he made a test. He wanted to translate some text, maybe for a mandant, for a client, and he sent the same text to a professional proofreader for English. Then he gave the same text to the DeepL professional, and he gave the text to the GPT-4 to proofread. And the result was that the professional proofreader made mistakes in the terminology. So he translated certain German legal terminology in a wrong way to the English. The DeepL also made mistakes in the terminology, also translated the same words wrong. But the GPT-4 was the only one who translated everything properly, even with the difficult legal terminology. And that was impressive, yeah? So because DeepL is already very good, because in DeepL they integrated the another software where contextual translation, I always use this, then I see the examples where the term is used and I can decide whether it's really properly or not fitting. And the DeepL is excellent already, but imagine, yeah, a professional proofreader, which he cost him 1,500 euro, did not make it as accurate like the GPT-4, which cost $22 per month. Very impressive, yeah, so that is very good, but even better is the analysis function of it. This is really impressive. So my colleague from Erlanga sent me a draft of her paper, and she has the custom that she writes a paper in English, and then often she sends it to Australian or British journals or American journals, not because she thinks they would accept it, but she wants to have the constructive critics of the reviewers. So I never do that because I hate this rejection. I hate it, I send it, and then they say it's not good what you did here, and so never do that. But she really wants to learn from that. So she always send it to these journals, and then she gets the review back, why they don't accept it, but she knows at least what she could make better in the future, yeah? So she sent me that because we want to collaborate in this paper, and then I let the, what I did is I did my own review about that. So I was thinking about what is the issue with the text, what I would improve, and there were issues with the structure. Also, there was a break in the argumentation, and then she cited some case which were not really fitting to the topic. So later I had to think about how to make the bridge to that case because I didn't want to delay it, but sometimes people do that. Sometimes people analyze cases and they think, oh, this is also interesting, and they put this case in, but it's not really fitting to the topic. It is a little bit going out of the line, yeah? So this is what I found out. And then I was reading the English reviews from the English reviewer, and the English reviewer were more or less the same, found the same points in that review. And then I let the GPT-4 analyze the text and asked the GPT-4 tell me the pros and cons of this draft. And this is very interesting. A part of that, the GPT-4 also mentioned self-understanding things, which came from the fact that the GPT did not really know what for what journal is it, and so on. It really identified exactly the same points like me and the English reviewer. Yeah? So this is very helpful if I analyze a doctoral thesis of someone or a paper of our students. I analyze it anonymized with the GPT, and then I know the pros and cons, and I can analyze whether I think this is justified or not. For that it is excellent. Now comes something which is in the edge of ethic. Is it ethic or not? Modifying formulations. It can be absolutely unethic to use this tool in that way. For example, I want to write a book about growing roses, but I have no idea about growing roses. I could learn about it and then write a book. That takes a long time, but I want to make it faster. So what I can do is I feed GPT with a lot of interesting text about growing roses, and then I tell the GPT to make me a text about that wording, with some words, so block for block, yeah, about what it learned. Yeah, and then ask it to make a structure and fill it out with words. We will have a proper text about growing roses. And then I write my name over it and publish that. This is unethic, yeah, because this is plagiarism, not in the classic way, because as I mentioned, plagiarism is anachronistic. Only idiots make plagiarism. Idiots who cannot use the tool, yeah. This is not identifiable as plagiarism, is also per definition not plagiarism. It's nothing else than I read a lot of text and write a text. Yeah? Just that I have a learning body. It's not my brain who learned, it's the AI learned. And the AI produced my text under when I order it to do that. Yeah? Is it plagiarism if I read 3 papers of you and then write another paper? It's maybe not interesting because I don't do anything new, but there is masses of articles which are not doing anything new about cyber notary. If I count the articles which all say the same already, yeah, is this all plagiarism? No, it's not plagiarism because they didn't copy other texts and they did not even paraphrasing copy of the text. This is not the ductus copied and just change some words or something. It is just absolutely new text, but absolutely no novelty. Yeah. Because many people can reproduce knowledge and put the knowledge together into something new, but many people who can reproduce knowledge perfectly are not creative. This is not creative, but not creative is not plagiat. This is not a plagiat. So you see why it's anachronistic, yeah? Why you must be an idiot to make plagiarism, because plagiarism means I copy something or I use the ductus and just change some words, but anyway, this is I copy something. And copy something is stupid because it can be analyzed and be identified. And if I want to avoid that, I use the GPT and tell the GPT, write it in an absolutely totally new way. Yeah, it should not be identifiable as another text. Use other words, use other terms, use a different structure, and write it in the way a German non-native speaker in English would write it. Who want to identify this is not mine? And the second question is it really so unethic? Is it really so different than reading a lot of text and reproducing something new? Is it really so? I mean, it's not good work, but is it really unethic? However, the difference is we use a machine here, which makes it even faster. If I have to learn, at least I learn, and the learning process takes away a little bit of the unethical. Yeah? So then at least I read the text of the others, but I don't even bother to get the idea of my fellow researchers. Yeah, so don't want to read it. Let the machine read it. Yeah, so this is industrial production of text, and that will lead to a problem for the culture, because why I should be creative in the future if anybody can do that? Why I should in the future write my own text if any can use my text? We will talk about, is this a copyright problem? Yeah, but this is really a problem because we have a flood at the inflation of bad text nowadays, and we don't know which is written by people and which is written by AI. You see already in these platforms where people can publish their own books and so on, own storytelling and so on. There's masses of text nowadays, and poems, and even the LinkedIn is full with this. LinkedIn is predestinated for that. LinkedIn is a lot of non-saying postings of people who want to be published. So they write these postings where you always have these little rockets, and so nowadays human research and human leading in companies must be ethic. We must see the human personality to be more content, more responsible for our workers, and so on and so on. What do you think about that? And then they want reaction. Put maybe some sexy photo of that professor for human resources there, yeah, and then get a lot of feedback, and then get famous in the LinkedIn with a lot of rockets and emojis and so on and so on. I myself tried it. I made one posting also with the GPT. In 1 second, I had a cool GPT posting for my LinkedIn. Yeah, this is, I don't read that anymore. Yeah, because this is all inflation. This is all non-saying texts which are flooding our culture in the moment. So this is really a problem. Translating, I don't have to explain that. And now comes the most important thing. For the students, for the lecturer, for the researcher, what we should use it for is as a learning or research body. Yeah, it's a body, it's a friend, it's an assistant. It's an assistant with which I am in dialogue. What I do, if I have to learn the knowledge for a new lecture, for example, last year I had to do a lot of new lectures for Atmajaya in Yogyakarta. I was not well prepared. 2 weeks ago they told me which lectures they wanted, and there were absolutely new lecture about blockchain and smart contracts and so on and so on. I know about that, but I didn't have a lecture for that. So what I did was asking first of all the GPT for a structure for such a lecture. And then I asked the GPT, I will show you later in the second part, can you make me a presentation for PowerPoint? It will not paint you the presentation, but it will say in which slide we should write what we should write in the slides. And then I can make it even more concrete. I can ask, tell me what I could write into slide 3 or slide 4 and so on and so on. This is all not unethic because I cannot trust what it gives me here. Imagine I stand there and teach something and this is absolutely wrong, yeah? So what I have to do, if I'm responsible working with this tool and correctly working with this tool, is every point it mentions, I must check. So what I do is when I prepare this, give me the idea, give me structures, and then show me what I could write, give me a suggestion, but I take it as a suggestion. And then I take the suggestion to know, is it right or wrong? Can I use it? Is it really, is it maybe too much I write here in the slides, or should I add something? Which means I must deal with the topic. It means I must read about the topic, I must check exactly that information, and I must counter check whether it's correct. And what does that mean didactically for my brain? You will know that yourself. If we must learn something and we just sit somewhere or we just read something, it's difficult for us to maybe to memorize information on long term. But if we have information from dialogues with someone, yeah, from our communication with someone, this information is often very vivid, very long living. Yeah, so if I have colleague dialogues with someone, then I learn a lot from that, because we must process our information, we must confront the other one with our information, we are confronted with the counter information, and when we put that together, we merge that. And that is what I do with the GPT. It's a chat GPT. This means I can chat with it. This means I dialogue with it. This means it gives me ideas which are maybe wrong. Then I will find out, then I learn from it, then I correct my body will integrate it, and then we both learned. The body will know more, I know more. And that is also how we should encourage our students to do it. Our students should use the tool like we use it in the learning group. Imagine we have 3 students who have no idea about the topic, but they must learn for the exam. They sit together with their books, and then they make discussion about the topic, and one will say something, it's always a theory, a research theory. The other said, I'm not so sure, but actually isn't that like this? And then the third says, I have another argument. Maybe it's better we say like that. But 3 of them don't know really what is actually the right way to decide that. So what they will do is, if they have a good study group, they will check in their books. And once they checked, it's like this. 3 students are now more clever because they learned together. And they will not forget it because they learned in a group. Yeah? This is what we can use it for, and that is what I use it for. It is a tool for brainstorming. Give me ideas. Give me incentive to think about something. Give me an idea where is my mistake in the thinking. Give me an idea what arguments I could maybe add. Whether I use it or not is not clear. I'm not slave of my AI. My AI will suggest something, I take it, no way. Yeah, because I'm the one who is responsible. Not the AI is responsible. I'm the responsible one for what I produce with that. This means I must be very critical. If I'm not critical and use it uncritical, I use it wrong. But I learn, and I got a lot of ideas with that. Give me a concept for something, or give me a structure. The first what I do is, when I want to make a research or want to make a paper about some topic, I give it the topic. I say I want to write a paper for that and that purpose, and then I ask it give me structure. For example, you can ask it give me a structure for a paper about corporate social responsibility and the role of adat in Indonesian law. Something like this, yeah? It will give you, I tried it, it gives you an excellent structure. And when you want to add something, for example, I had the idea I want to add the supply chain due diligence law from the European Union, then you say, can I somehow integrate supply chain due diligence law? Is it somehow plays a role? And then and then it will discuss with me. It can be a role because that can be important because there is a different approach in Europe, which is not so much based on local custom or charity ideas, but it is more institutionalized in the corporate social responsibility and in the law and so on and so on. And then I say, please add that to the structure, and then it will add it to the structure. And in the end, after a very short time, I have a full structure. I can now haggle from point to write my paper. You know how long it takes us to make a structure for research. Last year, I was meeting one of our exchange students in Pekanbaru, and this exchange student had the problem that one of the lecturers told him, you must write a bachelor thesis about that or that topic. He was very unhappy with that because he didn't want this topic. But the lecturer, I'm suspicious that the lecturer wanted that topic because he must write his doctoral thesis, and then he wanted to exploit that bachelor thesis for that. Obviously very common here.
Unfortunately.
The student was so unhappy, so in panic. And I said, hey, you are 23. Why are you in panic? You have technology. Yeah? Does your lecturer have the technology? No, I don't think he'd ever use it. Because if he used it, he would be already a doctor. Yeah? And then I said, use the GPT. What is the topic? So we made, between two coffees in the cafe of the hotel, we made a structure of his bachelor thesis. I don't know if he really finished this thesis. I doubt that because the guy is also very, very lazy, I must say. But if I was him, I would be ready in 1 week with that. Yeah? So you are crazy if you not use it. Yeah? But use it in this way. What I not recommend is, once you do this orange thing in the last year, the structuring, developing concept, structuring your text, or brainstorming, or improve your text by let it analyze, what you not should do is, now starting with, now write me part 1 of my text. Now write me part 2 of my text. Now write me part 3 of my text. You can do that. I did that. I tried that. So I had a concept of, the idea is that the data protection law must be more pragmatic because we have a lot of duties in the data protection law which we anyway cannot enforce. Yeah. So I cannot enforce even in European Union that Xiaomi does not have augmented reality glasses which send information about what it sees to China. I mean, of course we can forbid it. That the question is, can we really enforce this forbidding? Yeah. Or when we had the pandemic, I had to use Zoom, but actually it was forbidden. Because the Zoom sends the IP data to the United States, and that is against the data protection law of the European Union. But what can I do? Yeah, I had to teach. So I used Zoom and I had to break the law. So if you break the law, if you are forced to break the law and you know you break the law, but you know you have no other chance than to break the law, is that good law? No, because it makes erosion of the trust in the law, right? So the law should be rather pragmatic. So this is the idea. So I had already a draft for some paper with certain parts with a colleague of mine. We already prepared something, but we never had the time to bring it in structure. So I feed the GPT with these texts, and then I asked the GPT to make a structure, and now write me block for block. Toll, super. I have now a draft for a paper of 10,000 words. Yeah, I can easily cut it. And I was thinking, wow, this is good. I sent to Scopus Jean. But you know what the issue is with this text? There are no references. So what do we do now? We go through our text and find statements, and then we must find references for that, yeah? Is this ethic? Actually not, right? Because actually it should be result of our study, and not we make some spices into the food, yeah, afterwards. So find reference for that, find reference for that. This is not studying.
Yeah.
Yeah, we give the idea and then we put something in that it looks scientific.
Yeah.
But I would not care for that. Or perfect, honestly. Yeah. So if it looks scientific. Yeah, because it was my ideas. Yeah. So, but the bigger issue is that it takes a lot of time to find references. And you know what? I stopped after 2 pages. I'm too lazy to go through these 10,000 words and find references. Yeah. So I have a 10,000 words draft on my hard disk, which will never be read by someone. So I'm thinking about making concept paper and just put it to the ResearchGate and something like this and not publish it, yeah, which is a shame because actually it's a good idea, yeah, but I'm too lazy to work on that paper. So this is my recommendation, not let it formulate something. The ResearchGate, there's a ResearchGate article about the ChatGPT you find in the ResearchGate of mine. It's written not by the GPT, but there are certain blocks I let the GPT write, which are the boring blocks, or I formulated something very raw and asked the GPT to formulate it in a more proper way. But you know what I do is, I write all my texts in German. Everything I publish, I write in German. Also this idea I wrote down in German very fast, and then the GPT integrates that in English. So this is the best thing we can do. You write in Bahasa, you write much faster. I write in German, I write much faster. I write any concept in 10 minutes down in German, but in English I would need maybe 45 minutes to write it down. Yeah, because I want to make it properly. So this is this is the best thing you can do. Write in your language, write the concept down and let it integrate it into the text. And also, what I do is when I do that, I write honestly, we use ChatGPT for as a support for the research. Yeah, that is actually okay because I can stick to it. I can accept that I use that. Yeah, but what I not do is let it write full blocks because then I have more work afterwards. So I learned that it's better to write my text in German, let it later translate, but write it at once with the footnotes, and then I have it. So then I use the footnote organization there, and then I have it. We will see later how to make that. So can these products we do be copyrighted? So clear answer, if you let it write all and you just press the button, no. Because I mean this is the same in Indonesian Hak Cipta paragraph 2 in the German law for copyright. It's written that works within the meaning of this law are only personal intellectual creations. And per definition, GPT written texts are not personal intellectual creations if the GPT made all. If I write a concept of an idea and ask the GPT to make a text out of that, then it's my creation. Unless, I mean, the wording doesn't matter. The idea is relevant, and the idea is now in a work here. And that is my creation. But if you just write the text and ask the GPT, write me a text about cyber notary, this is not copyrighted because it's not creation. This means it is public domain. The other question is how to prove that. So the proof question is maybe very, very eminent, yeah? Because maybe you think about disqualifying students because you are suspicious that they use ChatGPT. And what you do is you send the text through these scanners, and there are scanners which say this text is 30% AI written or there is only 70% human written or something like that. Forget about that. Forget about that because we must follow the rule of law. And if you disqualify a student because you assume he used this as a forbidden tool, given the fact that you forbid it, maybe you don't forbid it, but if you forbid it, then you must prove that the student really used this tool in a forbidden way. And you can never prove that conform with the rule of law because these scanners really don't know anything. Because I made the test, I used a text I wrote 5 years ago and let it check, and it said it is 30% AI written. This is absolutely not possible because it's my text. So you blame me for that even if I wrote it really myself. How you want to prove? Or I used the full AI written text and let it check, and it said, oh, this is mostly 90% is human written. 10% is irrelevant because you cite something or you have a footnote or something and that it identifies it. We are in a time of transitory. We are flooded with AI written text anyway, so when we cite something, the chance is big that is already AI written and it will be identified as AI written then. So in the future, I think we should, the best, we should define that this is absolutely normal that we deal with AI written text. So forget about disqualifying something. I have a colleague who asked me, because I am the leader of the board of the examination in my faculty, and he asked me, I want to disqualify the student because GPT-4 analyzed that is from GPT-4. So he gave the bachelor thesis to the GPT-4, and the GPT-4 said, and asked, is this GPT written? And GPT-4 answered, yeah, it's written by GPT. I said, forget it. Forget it. Check it carefully. If there are any mistakes, and if there are mistakes, give big discount of point. But you cannot disqualify him, because if he sues us, he will win that, because the courts will say it's not provable.
Yeah.
Without doubt. Yeah. So forget it. So this is maybe the most easy point. Yeah. But how we can maybe protect it, because you must agree that even if we let it write the GPT, the text, it can be still a sort of creation, because we trained the GPT, or because we have our own GPT, because we prompted in a very, very sophisticated way. This is a product. So we produce something. It's maybe not an intellectual work in the sense of the copyright, but it is a product. And the product could be maybe protected by some intellectual property right. However, it's not the copyright law. In our legal system in Indonesia, as I know, and also in the German legal system, we have hardly no way to protect it in an intellectual property, because intellectual property right in our idea is protecting the result of the creativity, not the creativity, not the idea itself. That's why we need a patent. We are not protected if we just have an invention. If we are stupid enough to tell our invention to our friends, they can copy it and can make a product out of it. We must have a patent, and for the patent we get the reward, because the patent means anybody can read the invention. The humanity is more rich now in a new invention, and for that we get the exclusivity. For the copyright, we have a work, we have a book, we write the book is protected. But the idea of the book is not protected. If I talk about my idea writing a book, and this one writes the book and sells it in the market, and is now bestseller, yeah, my fault. Yeah. So this is the gap in the law. We cannot so easily protect, but in some legal system we can do it. The question is, can we protect not only own intellectual creation as a function of the personality right, because copyright is nothing else than a part of our personality rights. So it is a moral based right, unless it is, of course, it is also property, but it is hanging on our personality. Can we protect somehow the result of labor skill or the result of effort as a purely property function? Yeah? I'll give you an example out of that. If we have someone who is nobody, I mean, we are all not celebrities, so nobody will ask us, you want to make advertising for barbecue sauce in the television, because nobody knows me. But if I would be a celebrity, they would pay a lot of money that I make the advertising for the barbecue sauce, because they can really exploit my celebrityness. How we make someone celebrity? Or someone can do something, but most of these celebrities cannot do much. Yeah, so sometimes they cannot do anything. So in Germany, there's a show about people traveling or make emigration. So they are expats living somewhere abroad, and the television follows them all the time. And there was some guy from Hamburg, normal guy, going with his family and moved to somewhere in America, somewhere in California, or I don't know. He bought a farm there, and the television always came to check out how they do there. Is it fine? How they develop? What is the children in the school? Did they learn English already? And so on, over years. And that guy was more famous and famous and famous. And now he makes, indeed, advertising for barbecue sauce. And the people pay money for making holiday in his private farm, and work for him on his farm to make his farm nicer, and they pay money for that. So would you pay money to work for someone else? No, you await money, but the people don't await it because you're so famous. And he can make money out of that. So why? Because someone invested. Yeah, a company, a television company, invested something, money, time, in building a product. If you want to say that, the celebrity is nothing else as a product. And this is something very similar to the copyright, right? So the copyright has a moral side and it has a commercial side. You can commercialize it, you can make money with it. It's a property function. So my personality can also be commercialized because someone invests, and that should be protected. So there is already the discussion, should we protect celebrityness? Celebrityness is protectable, in my opinion, because we invest. And here's the same. Someone invests in making a product by using the machine. And in the British law, and in New Zealand also, they have in the Copyright Designs and Patents Act a rule. In the case of a literary, dramatic, musical, artistic work which is computer generated, the author shall be taken to be the person by whom the arrangement necessary for the creation of the work are undertaken. Yeah? Computer generated means that the work is generated by computer in circumstances such that there is no human author of the work. With that, we would have an instrument to protect products from the GPT. But no moral rights. So what we do in our legal system, so here we are in the European Union, very similar, and you see here, this is an old slide. The European Union some years ago, I think it's only 3 years ago, did not see really a big deal here, a big problem here yet, yeah? I also did not see that. I was very surprised when it came up, yeah, so I knew the GPT-2 makes something, oh, interesting, but it will take 10 years, yeah, but then only 1 year and we have that. So this is not so actual anymore. So if we go a little bit more general, we must say, it depending on how close the human being is to the product, or to the product which is created. If the AI is just a tool of the human creator, like a pen or like my computer where I write something, then it's very clear we have a copyright. If the design decision is shaped by the AI alone, absolutely autonomous, then we are clear we have no copyright, unless we find an ancillary intellectual property right, like this work copyright or something like this, yeah? Or work made for hire in the United States is also a possible concept. Work made for hire means company has employee, the employee creates something, it is the creation of the company. So if someone in Microsoft programs a code, the code is not the property of the employee, it's the property of Microsoft, work made for hire. If we understand the AI as our agent, as our employee, or something analogous to an employee, we have the option to identify the work of the AI as the work of an employee. So this would be a sort of made for hire. Or the design decision is by human and the AI in a collaboration, which is maybe in the most cases, then we should decide to which grade it is human or to which grade is AI. And that will be difficult to prove, right? So this concept is a little bit difficult because we can never decide is it really copyrightable or not. That's why I think we need amendment of our law here to really focus on the new challenge, because this is really something new. We have a gap in the protection in the moment. So here is the slide for the work made for hire. Now we come to the next question. Is the AI the right holder? This question is not merely academic, because the question whether AI can be personified is very important. Not only for copyright, also important for the liability, for imagine the Tesla drives autonomous and wants to protect the driver, and there is a wall. So driving against the wall means your driver will be damaged, yeah? But there are a lot of people on the sideway. So the car must decide, should I protect my driver? Then I will kill the people on the sideway, or should I protect the people on the sideway? Then I drive against the wall. As the AI is not ethic, it will not say, oh, better I tilt here and that is fate, yeah, so my driver will die. It depending on how the AI is programmed. If the AI is programmed to check out how many people will be damaged, then maybe the AI can check with a sensor. Oh, there are 5 people and this is 1 person, and 1 person better 1 person dies than 5. But we all know that is also an ethical problem, that we cannot count many people against 1. Every life has the same value. So shooting down a jumbo jet with 300 people to protect 3,000 people in 9/11 would be already a problematic decision. So at least our constitutional court decided that we cannot just say many people saving and a few people die is absolutely ethic. But this is the idea of the triade, yeah? So we must save a lot of young people, for example, and let the old people die. Horrible decision and never ethic. So this is a dilemma. So for that we need that, and also we will have in the future a lot of issues where AIs act and do something, and we need assignment of responsibilities. Who is responsible if an AI algorithm is observing markets and conduct market movements, selling shares, buying shares, and leading to a crash? Or making decisions which are important for the antitrust law decision. So it's antitrust problem. So the AIs decide about pricing. This is, or the AI does something which is exploitation of a dominant position. Or the AI is discriminating participants in the market. How we assign responsibilities here? And the question is here, the old question, how we make personification. This one is Indonesian citizen. That one is Naruto. Naruto is a macaque from Sulawesi, and the case is from the High Court of Ninth Circuit in the United States. Is the case Naruto versus Slater. Mr. Slater is a photographer who was in the forest of Sulawesi making pictures of animals, and then he made a break, and the monkey found this equipment and made the selfie alone. And later Mr. Slater found this photo in the material, and it was posted. It went viral. Was very famous photo, and Mr. Slater made a lot of license royalties with this photo. He got a lot of money from this photo. Now, if you have a lot of money, there is always someone who wants your money. In this case, the people for the ethical treatment of animals incorporation, PETA, it's a crazy organization, really militant animal protection organization. I read last week they want to forbid carousels with the wooden horses, because the children who sit on these wooden horses would get the impression that it's normal to exploit animals, so there should only carousels with rockets and cars, but not horses. Yeah, so really crazy. These guys sued Mr. Slater to reimburse them all the royalties from the monkey. Why? Because they say the monkey is the author of the photo and not Mr. Slater. So the monkey should have the copyright. And as we don't know where Naruto lives recently, PETA says we are the best friend of the monkey. So in the United States copyright law, the best friend can claim instead of the owner of the right. So two questions: is the monkey the holder of the copyright? And the second question: is PETA the next friend of this monkey? We can clearly say PETA is not the next friend of the monkey. Why PETA and not other organization? And second, the monkey has not the status of a legal person. Yeah. So the parallel question is to the AI. The question is, could be a monkey ever a legal person? Yeah. And there are two concepts. Maybe you know that there is the fiction concept, the fiction theory, and then there is the reality theories, which are based on the concept of associations of Otto von Guericke and so on. And the other one, the fiction, is based on the Savigny teachings. Fiction means if I think these bottles should be protected because anybody treats them bad, the legislator could write a law and write bottles, plastic bottles are legal person. Yeah. And if they are decided in the legislation, they are legal person, they are legal person. Because we make just a fiction, they are legal person. Or we took the reality theory, we say something should be a legal person which has a humanistic background or base. Yeah. Bottles have no humanistic background, so it's absolutely ridiculous to make them a legal person. But if you see this monkey, the monkey has fun, the monkey is funny, the monkey can feel, the monkey can be sad, the monkey can suffer. Yeah, maybe bacteria cannot, but the monkey can. So there is at least certain parallel to human. A feeling entity can be maybe. Yeah, so it's not so absurd to say we can personify a monkey. But AI, it's very difficult because the AI has maybe no humanistic background, because the AI is determined and not flexible. And this is exactly the problem of the integration of AI in our civil legal concept. Because if you think about contracting, contracting is based on private autonomy. And private autonomy is based on the freedom concept of the Constitution. So the private autonomy of the legal subject is an instrument for freedom, which gives the legal subject, because it has legal dignity, it has human dignity, an instrument to follow his interest in the civil law trade, or in the law communication. Yeah, this means freedom, desire. I want to have a car, so I go and I make negotiation about buying a car. But AI cannot have desire. AI cannot have wishes. So AI cannot have freedom. So if we want to integrate AI into this legal concept, we have only the way to say, we make the fiction theory, we just make a fiction, because it is pragmatically makes sense to do that, because we will have systems which deal totally autonomous. Think about smart contracts which are conducted by AIs, which are observing markets and then do themselves something. Yeah, we can do that, but in that case, we must say goodbye to our humanistic and legal philosophy background of the private autonomy. Yeah, so because this cannot be integrated in the private autonomy as we have it grown in our codifications. Enough about that. So in a moment we don't have that. So the AI cannot be the copywriter. The last question is copyright infringements by using the AI. Can we infringe copyright by using the AI? And you know, this one is created also by DALL-E, and if you see the picture just in front, if you straight look to this picture, you see this very colorful bridge here with this, in this style. And if you are interested in classic arts, then you know this is something very similar to this picture here from Edvard Munch. Edvard Munch is a Norwegian painter. This is not copyrighted anymore because Edvard Munch is already died more than 70 years ago. So it's already public domain. And Edvard Munch's picture has the name Der Schrei, the scream. Yeah, you see, it's obviously why. And if you compare the AI, without that I ordered that, exactly use this picture of Edvard Munch, just taking away that guy screaming. What happens if the AI does that with Hello Kitty? Yeah, or with Mickey Mouse? Then it would infringe copyright. And I don't know how many know that picture of Edvard Munch, but a part of you will maybe not identify this is a picture of someone else. Oh wow, I have my creation, I published that. And already you are sued. I asked the AI, can you make me the same with Hello Kitty? And the AI answered me, no, I cannot do that because that is copyrighted. But this is just because the programmers of the ChatGPT said don't use popular figures or so. You can also not say to AI make a caricature of Professor Koos. And it says, no, we'll not do it. Why? Because it would infringe personality rights maybe, and they already sued in Italy because they're hallucinating about people, so they will not tell me something about me. Yeah? But it is indeed a problem of the copyright. We never know what it produces. We must be carefully if we produce something, whether that is really copying. And this is an actual case in the United States. It's Washington Post suing OpenAI because the AI produced, I don't know if they produced the left or the right text, but one is the original of the Washington Post and the other text is a production of the copy of the AI. And this is definitely plagiarism.
Yeah.
Yeah, machine-made plagiarism. So this is clearly infringement of the copyright of the Washington Post here, so they will clearly win the case. Now imagine you write something and you don't notice it is copying something. So another advice for that reason, never let that write full products.
Yeah.
Is it possible that it is infringing the copyright by training? This is the maybe the even more interesting question, because how did the GPT is trained? It is fed with a lot of data, books, texts, internet pages, pictures, and someone made this text, right? So I feed it with my book or my papers, And what comes out is a trained version, and this trained version is a product they sell to others, yeah? So they make a good product and selling it exclusively to people. So what they do is using the creativity of many people, training their models, and then making a product out of that. Isn't that exploiting me? Well, if it is a classical infringement of the copyright, is not clear. Yeah, we don't know. There is a lot of cases now pending in the United States, also in Europe, where authors claim that exploiting their texts is copyright infringement, even if it's not stored in the system anymore. It's just recognizing the patterns. And the problem is the delimitation from inspiration. So this is an old slide of a presentation of mine about this old issue in Indonesia about the protection of local culture of folklore. Yeah. So I never understood that issue, but obviously in the Hak Cipta in Indonesia there is a rule which says that the traditional knowledge and the traditional culture is protected and should go to the state, and the state should support then the local masyarakat. In my opinion, this concept is problematic because who is the owner of this local culture? Yeah, I mean, you all are the owner of the local culture of Lombok. But imagine my parents moved to Lombok 20 years ago, and I born here. Even if I'm a German, am I also holder of the culture of Lombok, of the Sasak culture? You would say, no, you Bule, because I'm white, right? And looking like Bule. This is basically a little bit dangerous because you could tend to a certain racism if you use this concept. Who is part of the local masyarakat in that sense, right? But this is not our topic. Our topic is that many artists, also Indonesian artists, say, actually this protection we don't need. Because cultures are never separated from each other, and cultures are always developing by inspiration. I mean, are we really clearly Indonesians or Germans? Or aren't we the product of a lot of cultures we are influenced by? What is my culture? What is my German, or you call it Western culture? We already have problem to define that. What is my culture? My culture is influenced by the Roman Empire. And the Roman Empire, again, is influenced by the Greek philosophy. And the anti-Greek philosophy is maybe influenced by the Egypt culture. So we have parts of the culture of the Greek because we still use Aristoteles and we still use the Roman law and all these things. Is that exploitation of cultures? Is it exploitation of culture if if in Germany we like sushi? When I was a child, nobody ate sushi in Germany because raw fish cannot be eaten. Yeah. Nowadays, anybody eats sushi or pizza or whatever, and you also use American music. Eat Western food and whatever. You use Western shirts also, not only batik. Yeah, I use batik. Do I exploit your culture because I use batik? Yeah, you know, the problem is without inspiration, cultures are not developing. So actually it is okay, in my opinion, that cultures inspire each other, and that some artists come to Indonesia, see the culture in Sulawesi or in Bali or whatever, and then, oh, this is an interesting pattern. I use it for developing my own fashion in United States or in Germany. This is, in my opinion, something which keeps the culture living, which makes this culture spread. Isn't that the same? I mean, the AI is trained with a lot of ideas of people, and then it makes something. Isn't that the same like inspiration? Actually, yes, right? Actually, it's the same. The difference is that the speed of doing this inspiration is a totally different, because it exploits a vast amount, yeah, without processing it in the way that how we process it. If I see the batik and I think, I like this pattern, what does it mean? Then I think about the meaning of the pattern, and then I think how I can integrate it. This is an intellectual process the AI doesn't do. And the second difference is, I don't do a monopolistic product out of it. What they do is they build a monopolistic product on a platform later and exploit all the knowledge in the world to make their product monopolistic. And this is a little bit a problem, yeah? So, for example, influencing markets by AI algorithms. So AI, for example, observed the market in the German local airlines, and then they found out that the German airline Air Berlin was bankrupt. At once they raised the price for Lufthansa tickets 30%. The German KPPU Bundeskartellamt was investigating the case, and Lufthansa answered, it's not us, it was the AI. The AI raised the price automatically. We did not do that. So how we can make the Lufthansa responsible here, and is it anyway an infringement of the antitrust law? Antitrust law means antitrust behavior, but the AI didn't behave, yeah? And also what the AI did is just reacting to the market condition. The AI just observed the market, oh, there is no concurrent anymore, we have monopoly, raise the price. Isn't that, is it forbidden to raise the price after you observe the market condition? No, if the market conditions are favorable, we raise the price. Why it is a problem for the antitrust law? Because it's so fast that the equality of weapons is not there anymore. So the speed gives away. So I would think this will be a problem, and we must define when inspiration, artificial intelligence inspiration, should be forbidden or not. And this one is a solution. This is Article 4 of the Directive on Copyright and Related Right in Digital Single Market and Amending Directive and so on. And it is about data mining. Data mining should not be forbidden, yeah, because developing AI or developing models is necessary for us for developing our technology. So data mining can be forbidden only if the company makes a reservation, or the owner of the copyright makes a reservation which must be machine readable on the web page. So if there is this reservation, they cannot exploit this information for the data mining, and it is not clear whether we can apply that to the training of the models. Yeah, this is only the data mining. So there is discussion whether we can analogize this. I come back to that in the second part of our decision of our presentation. So these are the main problem. Trust. Can we trust what it produces? Can we trust from who it is? Can we trust, is it real? Can we trust, is it properly information or not? The trust problem is a main problem. If you're interested in that, read that article about technology which replaced the law. The trust is the main problem of the future, because the law is based on trust. Making contracts is based on trust to each other. I would not make a contract with you if I did not trust you will pay the money later. But if we have machine actors, machine agents, more and more, which interact, trust doesn't play a role. There is the trust in the legal system that the legal system will protect me. But if the legal system cannot protect me anymore because the infringement comes from United States on platforms and we have no territorial power over United States companies anymore, I cannot trust that I'm protected, for example, in the data protection. So what would I do? I will seek for alternative instruments to protect me. And these are not alternative legal systems, these are technology systems. So I would use AI to identify whether I'm exploited with my data. I would use AI to identify if I'm influenced by dark patterns which are themselves shaped by AI. I use AI to identify there is attack to my computer system. I use blockchain and smart contracts. If I don't trust the Chinese contractual partner, will he pay? And if he not pay, I don't go to Chinese court. I use a smart contract which is automatically sending me Bitcoin to my wallet once the delivery is monitored by the AI. Yeah? Then I don't need a court. I have in Indonesia, I have an Israeli doctorand who works about replacing the justice, the court decision, by smart contracting. This means highly disruptive, yeah, because in the future is not so much the focus on the legal enforcement by courts, because the legal enforcement will be automatically in many parts of the law by these technological systems, by blockchain technology, smart contract, AI systems, as an alternative instrument for security. But we will have a shift from the legal enforcement to the product creation, because someone must code and someone must train the AI which helps us, right? So if the AI is wrong trained, if the smart contract is wrong programmed, there comes a liability problem, and there we will have the task for the law in the future, but not so much in the legal enforcement. This will be replaced by technology, and this means trust is not so important anymore in certain things, because the trust is anyway not so reliable anymore. Then the bias, about the bias, look at this one. This is very creepy indeed, yeah. Look, the four hands of that mother on the left side. This is a product of Midjourney, I think. I found it in LinkedIn. And the LinkedIn prompt was make a picture of water training with babies with a trainer in front. And look the face of the trainer. First of all, the bias is very clear. Yeah, the ethnic bias is young, blonde, slim women. When I made something similar, I wanted to reproduce this photo with DALL-E, this picture with DALL-E. Very interesting. DALL-E produced something similar, but a lot of Chinese here. I don't know, maybe to avoid the bias, but still no Africans. Yeah. But what is interesting is here, I mean, a part of the mistakes, yeah, this baby seems like Jesus standing on the water, yeah, here in front, and the baby is very, very big, yeah, bigger than the mothers. But compare the photo, the face of the trainer, and now check this trainer, and it has nothing, there's no connection between these two makings. It's the same trainer. Why both different age GPTs think that is this trainer? This woman, yeah, very interesting. But we see the problem of the bias. Or here, I said to the DALL-E, paint me a law professor. The GPT-3 in the beginning, the DALL-E, the first version, made a professor looking really like with beard and old-fashioned tie and so. This one gave me four photos, and there is one Chinese descendant, and there's one black woman, there is one white man with a beard, and a blonde woman. This is already the more developed version, the GPT-4, the first version of the DALL-E, and obviously already trained to avoid the bias, the racial bias, yeah, and also make gender here, so have women here. But it is still not avoidable. We have still a lot of bias, and this is dangerous. So, final statement and question for this session here. Plagiarism is out. Anachronistic. We don't have to care for that anymore, in my opinion. Everyone can write. Everyone can write. Yeah. So everyone can write. We should add can write internationally now. We all can write international papers now. Perfect English papers. They will not complain about our language anymore. And I don't want to see any paper anymore on my table when I'm a reviewer of Indonesian papers in Indonesian English. So I'm not mother language English, you are not mother language. I have typical German mistakes in my grammar and typical mistakes in my pronunciation, and there is typical Indonesian mistakes. I know that because I do the same mistakes because I all the time talk English with Indonesians. So I also say, he go home. That is typical Indonesian mistake. He go home without the S in the end. Yeah. Indonesians all the time do that, yeah, and me also I do it. Yeah, that one is over. So I don't want to see a paper like this anymore because it means someone is too lazy to work with a tool, and that means, for me, this is the main point why I will reject the paper. I will not read more. Yeah, I will reject it because it's nowadays not necessary to send in a paper like that. Everyone will write. This is a problem because everyone will write even if bullshit. Sorry. The problem is not so much bigger than before, because I mentioned already we had a lot of non-saying articles anyway in the world, but that one will be even more. Because every idiot will think I write something. Why should I write in the future? That is the next question. Why should I write? Yeah? Why I should be creative? Not so much for the research, because the research is not about the aesthetic, but why should I write in the future poems? I love to write poems. But why in the future I should write poems? If the GPT makes me a perfect poem for my daughter about unicorns and paint me even the unicorn for that, why I should be a children book author and write nice stories for children if GPT makes it faster? So this is a problem for the creativity in the future. And this is really high impact to our culture, because our culture is always also dominated by creativity. So you see, it's very disruptive, and this is the last for now. This picture is showing the future maybe of creativity. We see a lot of bored people in a museum with a lot of electronic art, and everything is more or less the same. Yeah, I see already which is computer generated when I make pictures. It is all the same. In the beginning it is stunning. In the beginning is even a little bit creepy because it makes a little bit nightmare photos, in my opinion. But they all bored. Will be bored for culture. Will we stop being in the culture? My idea is maybe not so bad like we could imagine, because look, there are watches which are conducted by our phones, smart watches, Apple watches, quartz, which are very accurate, which are cheap, accurate, and robust, and even look good. Why people still buy mechanical watches for $100,000 with old-fashioned technology? Mechanic. Why I changed from smartwatch to that watch, which is mechanic? Because it has soul, and the digital technology has no soul.
Yeah.
Because people like the old-fashioned things. People like old-timer cars, people like old-fashioned watches, and they pay a lot of money for the old-fashioned things. Maybe in the future, the people will go back to the classics. They read the classical authors, they read the authors from the 19th century, from the beginning of the 20th century, because they can be sure it's written by a human and there is soul in it. Maybe people pay a lot of money for books from editorials which have real authors under contract, which have to write in the office under surveillance of the authors of the editorial, and then they guarantee us this is a human written book, and we pay a lot of money for the real books. Maybe it comes like that. Otherwise, I'm very pessimistic for our culture, because we will have very good products, but we will not be able to prove, but we will somehow feel that we have a lack of soul.
Yeah.
Thank you for this part, and in the next part I show you how we can make a scientific paper by dialogue.
So do you want the participant bring their laptop?
No, I will demonstrate.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you so much, Professor, because I think this is an eye-opening presentation. I think even though in the beginning I proposed some questions and you already answer all of my questions and maybe reduce a little bit of my doubts, but please return in our next session, because Professor Koos will explain how to use AI in creating our scientific paper. And it won't be long, but please return here again, and he will demonstrate. If you have, you don't need to bring your own laptop too. So your last point remind me of there is a Japanese novel writer. So she got an award, this very prestigious award for the best novel, and she admitted when she accepted the award, she admitted that 5% of her novel is AI generated. So I don't know, as you said in the last.
Did you see the DALL-E photos? Make the DALL-E pictures yourself. I made an illustration for a very famous civil law case for my students in Germany. The case is the Hakjøringskød case. Hakjøringskød means shark, fish, meat. This is Norwegian language. Hak is shark, also hai in German. Jøring is fish, and kød is meat. Maybe you go to IKEA, you can buy kødboller, yeah? Kødboller is meatballs, kødboller, yeah? And Hakjøringskød case is about, in the 1912, the Reichsgericht had to decide a case where someone sold Hakjøringskød from a ship to another buyer. And they both didn't know that Hakjøringskød is high fish, is shark meat. They thought it's whale meat. And it was important for them because shark meat was high custom in Germany. Whale meat could be imported. So they both thought it is whale meat, and then they found out it is shark meat, and then was the question, is this the contract about shark meat or whale meat? Very interesting case. And I made a presentation, I want to make illustration. And the picture it painted me was creepy. You saw a ship with a lot of whales hanging over the railing with horrible faces, but it was not really horror. Do you know these nightmares when you are dreaming something and it is absolutely actually normal? but you scream, scream, scream because you are so terrified. There is not some splasher or someone killing you with a knife or something. It's just normal. You see, I walk the street along and suddenly I get a panic. Like this. You know there is something not okay. And all these pictures this Del-E does for me, I get always the feeling something is not okay here. So this is what we will have to face, yeah. I think it's because we have, maybe it's our under feeling that our, how can you say, the subconsciousness that warns us, hey, this is not human.
Yeah. Thank you. I think let's we call it today. Now we will return again at 2 o'clock after praying and having lunch. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.